the solid foundation skills so they will be able to work on the project. Okay, so it's 8:03. I think we can get started. Let me just switch to this project folder. I have a blank Excel. Let me see which one. This is the one. So I'm going to create a copy. I'm not going to touch the raw file. So I will open the copy of it. Let me just bring this over. So as you can see, this is a flat file. It has 26 columns. Looks a bit messy. It has close to 10,000 rows. First of all, I think every single time when you look at some new data, I want you to, bring your curiosity. First of all, we want to understand the data, have to have a good feeling about the data before we do anything with it. First of all, I don't really like the format. So I'm going to right-click normal, and I'm going to modify this. So in fact, this is the right format. What I will need to do is I click this and click normal. So if it is not the same, you could always modify normal. So right now, I'm going to zoom out a little bit, change this to 75%, so I can see more data in one single view. And I'm going to show you the schema in a different format. Let me just show you this format. This is something I did during the day just to make it easy for you. So if you look at this flat file, this is just one single file. It actually has information that can be classified into different dimensions. So in this case, please follow me. If you look at these 3 columns, these are the attributes associated with customer. So I usually define this dimension as who, who are the customers. And then if you look at this group, this has everything to do with the product, which is the what. If you look at this, you see the product ID, product name, and this is the hierarchy. You can see 3 levels of product: the product itself, and product subcategory, and product category. And then you could also see the packaging, so the product container, and base margin, and unit price. So price is definitely one of the attributes associated with product. So this is the who, this is the what, and this is the where. So I define this as location. As you can see from the most granular level, we have postal code, and this can roll up to city and to state or province. And then you could have region, which is, west, central, east. All right, so this is another group, another dimension. And you also have regional managers, each one manage a region. So they're somehow associated with the region. So you could connect this to the location somehow. And I like to, separate the when, which is state. So the raw data only has date, but we could derive month and year from the date. So if you take this all out, and then you have the facts. We call them fact table. But the fact table also has two levels. The first level is orders, and the second level is order details. So as you understand, if you have ever done grocery shopping, so when you check out the groceries, you make one payment, and the cashier will give you a long receipt, right? But to them, that is one order. But as you can tell, it has many lines or many items. Every item is a product. And then, of course, you could have the quantity, of that product. So all the details will go into the order details. And you could have like 10 or even 20 items. So the order ID, the order day, the order priority, as you can tell, this belongs to the order level. And when you go into the item for each product of this same order, it's interesting you see customer ID in this level because it's entirely possible you could have, group purchase. You could have multiple customers in one order. So that's the reason why you see customer ID at order detail level, not order level. And then you have the product ID, and then you also have the postcode. So this data, the postcode, is actually where the item or the product is delivered from. So when you have that, that will roll up to the city, state, province, and region. So you can treat this as where the store is or the location of the store is. And then you have all the green KPIs associated with the product. So you have discount of that product and the profit you make of that product and the quantities of that product. And then you have, return of that product if you're not satisfied with the purchase. And then, of course, the total sales, and this, not the total sales, you could have the subtotal, right? The subtotal is the quantity times the price of that product. And then the same order, if you have multiple items, they could be shipped on different dates in different modes, and can involve their own shipping costs. So I just want to show you all these so you understand that flat includes too much information and they shouldn't belong to just one table. This is really, really important. Even though you're working with Excel, but I want you to have the mindset of data structure. So imagine yourself, being a data architect. So you want to organize the data properly, and put data into the right table they belong to, and then you can collect the tables into a data model. And if you do this step properly, and you will make your life a whole lot easier. So we'll spend a bit of time in this. And on the right column, you will see the distinct values. You only see them, beside the dimensions, because the measures you could have continuous color, and it's pointless to count the distinct values. Those of you, if you are not working together with me, that's perfectly okay. Just sit back and watch the 2 hours, and later on I'm going to send you, I think I have already uploaded this to Discord. You can download it. Later on, you can watch the video, and if the instruction is not for you, so you try to reuse the same work. So after this, I'm going to make this a little smaller. In fact, let me just make this side by side with the instruction, so that might be easier for you to follow. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to separate this table. So first of all, let me just treat this as the most detailed level. I'm going to rename this into order. Let me just uppercase O, order details. But I'm going to create 6 more tables. You know what? I'm going to maximize this. It's much easier to work with the full screen. Just give me 1 second. Let me just bring this over. Okay. So I'm going to bring this all the way to the right. And then rename this to customer. And the second one, product. The third one, locations. And this is manager. And this is dates. And this is orders. Okay. So first of all, let's work at customers. So if I come to this, you can see the first 3 columns. For customer information, I'm going to copy and paste it over here. You could always bring this to 75%, so it's a lot smaller. And what you need to do, you just select all 3 columns and click data and remove duplicates. So you can see now it becomes unique. It's always important to have some good data habits. So what I normally do is I will bolt this, center it, and I will always go to view and freeze the top row. And it's always a good thing to check off the green line so it becomes much easier to see, right? Now that I have the customer dimension table created, I can come back over here and I can delete these 2. Because as you can tell, a lot of this information actually are repetitive. So if I already have the customer ID, if I need the name and segment, I can easily retrieve it from this table. So now I'm going to delete these 2 columns. All right. So the second group is product is the what. So I'm going to select all of these. So all these columns are associated with product. And once again, I can copy and paste it over. And the same thing, you can select them all, go to data, and remove duplicate. And once again, just zoom up this to 75%. And then if you select all the columns, just click anywhere between 2 columns you're going to give them the right width. And once again, you could do this all together, but I'm going to just do it one more so it's clear to you. I'm going to view and check out the grid line, and once again, you can freeze to row. You see that? All right. So now that I have already moved all product related information to product table, so I can come back and delete these. So I'm making things a lot simpler by separating the data into different tables. So now we're working with the where, the location. So we have actually 4 columns over here. So to copy and move this to location tab. And once again, you can go to data and remove duplicates. Awesome. So zoom up to 75%, and once again, go to view, check out grid line, and vote the first header row, and you can center it and resize the column width. There we go.
Hi, Eric. Sorry to interrupt. There was a question from Azin.
All right. So manager should be copied to yes. So I'm going to work with the manager right here. So in fact, you can copy this to the manager table. So same deal, just go to data, remove duplicates. You see, the relationship is actually very, very simple. Once again, I'm a little OCD, so I like to keep everything the same format. Check off the green line. Center. I don't need to freeze the top one because you have only 4 rows. So now that, Azin, now that you have already defined the manager table, so you can come back to location, you can delete the managers, right? Because if you have region, and if you want to know who is responsible for that region, you could always go to the manager table, right? So now let's come back to the order details. You could delete all these columns, see? This becomes a lot easier to manage. So now we have 2 levels left, the orders and the order details. So if you look at orders, we have what? Order date, we have order priority. So let's just copy this to the order table. And same thing, just go to data, remove duplicate. There we go. So let's zoom up to 75%. And let's freeze top row. What else? Let's vote and check off and resize the column. There we go. So now we can come back to the order details, and we can delete the order date and order priority. So now let's just do a final check on the order details table. So we have customer ID, product ID, postal code, order date. You know what? we are going to insert one more column. You see, order day is not unique because the same order, you could include multiple items, right? But we want to make sure we can count the item. So let's name this item ID. We want to make sure it's sorted properly. This is already sorted. Otherwise, you're gonna, sort the order ID. But after this, if you look at the first row, this is 3389, and the second row is a different order. Now the third row, and these. So I'm just gonna highlight this so you can see. So this is the same order, right? So what I want to do is this: 1, 1, 1, 2, and 3, so on and so forth. So this is the same order, and we have 3 items. We want to name them item 1, item 2, item 3. And you may want to ask me why, because this order details table doesn't have a primary key. So we want to create a primary key that can uniquely identify each row. And we don't have to create another order detail ID. You could do that. But if you create item ID, these 2 columns, collectively, they can serve as a primary key, all right? So let's do that. What you can do is put a formula over here. So you can do something like if. So this is 1, okay, let's start from here. So you can do something like if the order ID is the same as the previous row, or is not the same as the previous row. So let's do is not different. So this is different from the previous row. And we should restart from 1. Otherwise, it's going to be the previous item ID plus 1, right? This should be very simple for you, correct? So if I just click the little handle over here, it's going to copy down all the formula. Right. Right. Oh, it doesn't go. It should go. There you go. It's just the yellow that mess up. Let me just get rid of the yellow. So let's just do another check. Oh, let me just reuse the tool row as well. Here. So let's check this one. So it is, so it's the same order ID, but you can see the item ID start from 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so now that we have item ID, let's just copy and paste special. So everything is fixed, all right? So once we have everything defined, we're going to connect all these tables into a data model. I'm going to show you a trick. So it's always a good idea to create ranges. I hope you understand the difference between range and sheet, because this is a sheet, but this sheet could have multiple ranges or multiple tables on the same sheet, right? So it's better to define ranges so we can work with all the ranges very easily later on. So what you need to do is press Control and Shift, and then right arrow and down arrow. So it's very, very easy. So then just go to the name box and type customer. So it's the same name as the sheet name or the tag name. So we're going to do the same thing over here. Control Shift right down, and then you take product. And then you will go to location. Just put your cursor in A1 and Control Shift right down. And then name this locations. And go to managers. This is easy. But otherwise, if you have too many rows, you don't want to drag this. It's going to take you forever. So this is manager. And you go to dates. Oh, we don't have the dates yet. So we have 2 dates. So over here, you can see the order date. Let me just format this properly. So if you go to home and click general, and just don't take the short days as is. You want to go to more format, and then you go to date. I really like this one. It's easier to see. So year, Y, and DD, right? All right. So what you can do is just put your cursor in B2 and then Control Shift and down. So you can copy this value to dates. All right. All right. So just name this date. But you also have a shipping day in the order details table. So let's reformat this, more number formats, and go to date. So this, you could also put your cursor in K2 and press Control Shift and down arrow, and then Control C, and go back to dates and go to the end of it. You can go to the end of it. And then, so now I have all the dates. So you just go back up, and all you need to do is go to data and remove duplicates. So now I have all the unique dates, right? So let me just zoom up to 75%. Okay, freeze to pro, and format this to the proper date here. So I want to create a month as well and a year. So a very simple formula is you put your cursor in B2 equal to text and A2, and you can put double quote and then YY N double quote and closing bracket. There we go. And I want to create the year as well, equal to X and A2 double quote YY double quote and closing bracket. So you can select these two, and always work with the little handle, the bottom right of this range. Just double click it. It's going to copy all the way down, so you don't have to drag it. Okay. So now that I have the month and year, I want to copy and paste special and the value. All right. So I have all these errors. What I want to do is select them all and ignore the error. Bold it, center it. All right. So now I can select them all. What did I do? Control Shift right and down, and then type dates. All right. So now go to arrow, no, orders. Control Shift right down. And so this is orders. And the last one is the order details. Put your cursor in A1, Control Shift right down. And then you have order. So you have to use underscore because Ranjit doesn't recognize states between words details. Okay, after you finish all this, just to double check, you can go to formula and go to name manager. So you can see all these ranges, properly defined. So after this, in fact, if you go back to customers, whenever you select the same range, this will show, in the name box. So once you have this selected, you can go to data and click from table range. And then Excel will bring up Power Query. This is a very powerful feature. So all you need to do is go to close and load, click the down arrow. Don't pick the first one, pick the second one, close and load to, only create connection, and add this data to the data model. If you don't choose only create connection, you choose table, it's going to create another tab, which is unnecessary. That will just increase the size of your file. So we only create the connection, and in the background, it's going to add this table to the data model. All right, so you can see it's loading data to the data model. And the second one, it's the same thing, this is product. All you need to do is click from table range. All right, and click close and load to. Only create connection, add this data to the data model. It's loading the product table. And you can also see how many rows are loaded. And location from table range. Okay, so click close node 2. Only create connection, add this data to the data model. Managers. This one, it's very, very simple, but we'll do the same thing. And you will see, for some reason, this is not formatted properly because the header is here, and this one says column 1, column 2. So what you need to do is delete the last step and go just above 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this 9 number, and click the down arrow and click use first row as headers. There you go. So now you can click close and load to. Only create connection, add this data to the data model, and it's noting 4 rows. Perfect. So let's go to dates, and from table range. And you'll see the dates has gone back to the date and time format. I don't want that. So I click date again. So I only have the date format. So click close load to. Only create connection, add this data to the data model. Okay, it's a bit tedious, but it's necessary because you will find after this, your life is a lot more brighter. And this is orders. And from table range. Just notice the date. So we always need to reformat this to date. Close and note to. Only create connection as this data to the data model. Just bear with me because after this, you will see how powerful it is. So the last one, let me just go all the way up. And again, Control Shift, right down. And you see order details range already selected from table range. All right, we also have a ship date. We need to reformat. Otherwise, it's all good. Click close load to. Only create connection, add this data to the data model. All right, it's noting 9,426 rows. So now that we have noted all the data, I want to show you something magical. So for those of you who don't have Power Pivot in their Excel, you could always go to option, you can go to add-in, go all the way down. And you will see Excel add-in. If you pick comment add-in and click go, and you will be able to select Power Pivot over here. Okay, I already have it selected. So I will be able to see Power Pivot over here. So now if you click Power Pivot and click Manage, and you will see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 tables loaded, right? And what's more magical, if you go to the diagram view, you will see all this. This is just like star schema. You're going to connect them and connect the tables using the primary and the foreign key. Microsoft has star schema. Just to make it easier, we're gonna put all the dimension table at the top, and we'll put the 2 fact table at the bottom. Okay, so this is customer, this is who, right? Remember, this is product, this is what. Let's show all the columns, and this is location, because location is connected to managers. Let's put dates over here first, and then we have location, and let's put managers beside it. Okay, so this is orders, and we have order details over here. And once again, let's show all the columns. So let's do the easy ones. So this the primary key and is the foreign key. Doesn't matter, from 2, you can go from here, or you can go from here. It's the same thing. So Excel will recognize the one-to-many relationship. Okay. For the orders table, you have the order date, so you could always bring date to order date. And what else? So we have customer ID to customer ID. We have product ID to product ID. And we have postal code to postal code. And we also need to connect order ID from orders to order details. You see, now we have a data model that connects all the table, all the data together. So we literally have a data cube, and you can choose to show anything. There are 2 ways to work with the data. So let me just add 2 more sheets. Let's bring them all to the left. So all the data tables, let's select them all and maybe color them differently. And if you like, you could always put dimension table in a different color. So let's say dimension table blue. No, this blue. And fact table green. Right. So let's make this the ad hoc analysis. And if we have time, we can do a dashboard. And these two, once again, I'm a little OCD. I like to format them to 75%. Let's keep the grid line for now. Okay, so let me just show you something magical. And before I do this, we want to use this data cube to answer some random business questions. And it happens all the time. So if you're a data analyst or business intelligence analyst, and if you're the only one who knows how to work with data, and then let's say you have an inverted pyramid, just one data analyst supporting multiple managers and senior managers, and you can imagine your day. These managers and senior managers, they need you to answer many business questions, and they will just swing by your desk and ask you random questions about the business. So it's best to get prepared for random questions because they're not that predictable. So over time, you realize you're actually using the same data to answer those questions, but every single time you have to start from scratch. So the best way to handle that is to get prepared, and you just get all the data and put them into the right tables, and then connect the tables into a data model, and then join the tables using primary and foreign keys. And now that you have a data cube, and you're totally ready to answer any quote unquote random questions from the managers and senior managers. Let's pretend you get these questions, on a given day. Let me just go to insert. Let me insert a text box. Okay. So I'm going to bring this to the top left. Make this wider. All right, let me copy the question just to make it easier. So these are the questions. Let me make them bigger so you can see better. Make them easier to see. So guys, I prepared this during the day. I already come up with the answers, but I'm going to repeat the same process. You can see how I arrived at the solution. I also highlighted, this, and I will explain. So the best way to answer all these questions is to use a pivot table, but this is not a regular pivot table. So this pivot table, you click insert pivot table. So usually, I think 99% of the time, you create a pivot table based on this one table. But this time, we're going to do something different. So we will create a pivot table from a data model we just created. So you can just click OK. You see that? Now on the right, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all 7 tables. And you can use everything from these tables. If you click any table, you can get any column from any table, right? But before we do this, let's create 2 more measures that we will need down the road. To create measures, you have to go back to Power Pivot, and then you click measure. So this could be fairly new to you because you probably didn't pay attention. But now that you know measures exist, I highly recommend you use measures to create KPIs. So for instance, you click manage measures, and now you click new. What is the first measure? Let me just bring up my notes. Okay, the first measure is called shipping costs to sales ratios. So I'm going to put the measure inside the order details table. So let's name this. It's a percentage. Shipping costs over sales. So it's shipping costs to sales ratio in percentage. So if you just type, essentially measures, you have to wrap every single column, with a sum. So for instance, you type sum, and you look for shipping costs. So this shipping costs, closing bracket, and divided by sum again, and this is sales. Click this and closing bracket. So be careful with the format. You click number. So this is the percentage, and we allow 2 decimals. So just click OK. So let's create another measure. So this time we want to create a profitability measure. So it's profit to sales ratio. So again, put a percentage. I always use pound sign to show the number of, or dollar sign to show the dollar value, or percentage sign just to show a percentage. So this is profit to sales ratios. And once again, just type sum, and you can wrap around profit with a sum, and another sum, and wrap around sales. There we go. So once again, this is a percentage, it's a click number, and this is a percentage. We allow 2 decimals. Right, so now we have 2. The other thing I want to show you, it's always a good habit. So let's click manage. Let's go to the order details fact table. And all this decimal value, we want to format them properly, so it will show up nicely later on. So profit, sales. So let's do the decimals properly. This is the shipping cost. What else? Discount. That's it. All right. So let's come out. And again, before we do anything, I want to introduce you to 2 very powerful features. And one of them is slicer, and the other one is timeline. So we'll use slicer first. If you click slicer, you will be able to create multiple slicers with the important dimensions that you will use later on. So just to give you an example, for the customer dimension, I'm going to bring the highest level of the hierarchies, which is the customer segment. And for dates, I want both month and year. And what about locations against the highest level? So we have NEST unique values. Region. Not managers, but what about older details? I think we're gonna need ship mode. Orders, no. Product, we'll need product category. Okay, and you click OK, and you will have multiple sizes. So now let's put them aside very nicely. Once again, we can follow the who, what, and where and when. So let's bring who first, so this is customer segment. The second is what? The product category. So am I a little OCD? A lot OCD. What else? Where? Region. All right, and year. Nice. Months. Yeah, look nice. The last one is ship mode. Okay, so now we're ready. Let's make this smaller. Click the column width and just type 1. It become a lot smaller. Even this one smaller. Oh, let me just save it before I may lose it. Okay, so now just click this empty pivot table, and this pivot table field will show up. So let's answer the first question. Oh, did I lose everybody? Okay, so I think I still have you. All right, so let's look at the first question. Do you notice that I highlight some of the words? And here's the trick. It's very, very important for you to break down the question. Let's just read the question together and before we break it down. What is the percent of total sales for the home office customer segment in July of 2012? So it's important to break down the question into dimensions and measures. And sales is a measure. So we're going to highlight this. What color? Green. And customer segment is a dimension. So in fact, it mentioned home office. You see customer segment. Home office is just one value of customer segment. This implies that you have some filtering to do. Now that you know you need to filter home customer segment, you can just do it first. So this is what? Home office. Let's do it. Right? And what about July of 2012? Remember, we joined the dates with the order date, right? So this is the order months, July of 2012. So let's just go to the months slicer. Let's look for July 2012. There we go. So we already did the filtering. What else? What is the percent of total sales? Also, in this case, you need to see the percentage of customer segment, the percentage of home office sales of the total sales. So you actually need all of the customer segment. Let's just remove the filtering. Instead, we need to bring the customer segment into the pivot table. So let's bring this to the rows, right? And then what is the measure? Measure is sales. So let me just highlight this as well. All right. So the measure is sales. We know where to look for sales. It's in the order details, right? So go to sales and bring it down to values. So now you have a nice pivot table over here, but we want the percentage instead of the absolute value. It's very easy. What you need to do is click on sum of sales, go to value fittings, and then go to show value as, and click on this box. So you need to select percentage of column total. You see that? So home office is right here. All right, did you answer that question? Yes. So the answer is 17.6%. Oh. Right. So you see how easy it is to answer the first question. We have 3 people who are trying to join. Okay, so let's go to the second question. Once again, let's read the question first. It's really, really important to know that just like anything, before you get busy with solution, you need to understand the problem first. It's worth your time to ask questions and validate your assumption so that you know that you will work on the right problem. The same is true with this. So if you read the question, find the top 10 product names by sales. So right away, you know this is what? This is dimension. And sales is measure. Within each region is another dimension. Okay, find the top 10 product name by sales within each region. Which product is ranked number 2 in both Central and West regions? So we have region selected in 2011. Right here, it implies that you will need to do some filtering. So let's highlight this blue. Let's do the filtering first. Oh, I forgot to mention, before you solve the second question, it's always important to restore the pivot table. Otherwise, the previous setting is going to affect your solution. So it's important to bring this back. Just bring this back. Bring this back. Okay, and remove all the filtering. All right, so now it's back to the original states. Let's look at the question again. So we need to do the filtering 2011, right? And you need to bring product name as column. So product name, you look for product. Product name is right here, right? You have lots and lots of product. And what is the measure? Sales. And you collapse product and then go to order details and bring the sales down. All right. And it asks for top 10. So how you do top 10? You just click the down arrow over here and go to value filters and go down, you see top 10. And click OK. Doesn't have to be top 10, you can do top end. And then you still need to sort them. Just click more sort option. Be very careful with this. What do you sort by, right? So you want to do top 10, so you have to do descending order. And instead of product name, you should select sales. Otherwise, it's going to rank order the product name alphabetically, right? And then click OK. So now you see the top 10 product names by sales in descending order. So now let's look at the question. The question is, which product is ranked number 2 in both central and west region? So to do that, you can select central first. Which product ranked number 2? That's Sharp, right? This one. So I'm going to highlight this. So what about West? So I'm going to select West. It's also Sharp, right? So the answer is this. Is it easy? It's very easy. Okay. So once again, before we solve the third question, we would like to restore the pivot table and deselect all the slicers. Okay, so question number 3. I hope I haven't tired you down, but this is really, really interesting. Let's go through them all, and you will see how powerful this data model is. Let's read question number 3, and it looks simple. If 2013 sales were expected to increase by 50% the following year, which is 2014, what would be the total estimated sales for consumer segment? I should actually highlight. So it's consumer segment. This is the value of the customer segment. So let's maybe do the filtering first, consumer. And 2013, let's do the filtering as well. Sorry, I forgot to bring this back. So I should, we need sales, do we? Yeah, we need sales. Let's just bring back the product name. So there you go. So we have done the filtering, 2013 and consumer. So now we have the sales, which is, let me just highlight this. Let me highlight this as well. This is what? $2013 is actually dimension. Sales is measure. Consumer is the value of the dimension. This is very easy to understand, right? So once you have the same, what you can do is, if I bring up the calculator, it's pretty easy. 653, 350, 16 cents, and times 1.5. You see, it's the same number, $980,025.24. Okay, so we just solved the third question. It's pretty easy. And once again, let's click this and bring this back, send this back, and then get rid of all the filtering. Magical. Question number 4. Once again, in which region do all product categories fall beneath the overall average profit? So be really, really careful with every single word. So region is what? Dimension, product categories, also dimension, profit, measure. But it is the same. Average profit. Okay, so just be careful with that. All right, so click this, and we'll do what? We'll bring region as rows and product category as columns. So it's a cross tab instead of a table. So let's bring region is location, right? Just bring down the region. And product category, of course, you can find it inside product. And then profit. as the measure. So we will send profit to value. So you go to order details and bring profit down. But be careful with this. Instead of sum, you need to change it to average. Okay, so which region is
Nasty neck out there. Get the fuck up, you dumb bitch. Nigga, nasty shit.
what is that? All right, so which region is below the overall average? So this is the overall average. So as you can clearly see, south is below the overall average, right? It's 45, 91, 53, 87, 59, 295, 53, 139. All right, so we just solve this problem. Pretty easy. It's easy because you have done the hard work up front. You create a good structure. You basically design a database to solve this problem, right? And that fact table is very, very ugly. And it's very difficult for you to work with. And it has also potential problems if you allow duplicates. Okay, question number 5. And once again, before we solve question number 5, let's just restore everything. Let's bring this back. Bring this back. Bring this back. Okay, any filtering? No. All right. Question number 5, which product subcategory has a shipping cost to sales ratio above 3%? Okay, so this is what I think you start to get the hang of it.
I'm over here stroking my dick. I got lotion on my dick.
I have to mute this. Okay. All right. So product subcategory is dimension, blue, dimension is blue, measure is green. So this is a new measure we just create. So this is green, right? So it's pretty easy. So we're gonna bring product subcategory to rows. So this is second level in the product hierarchy. And if you go to the order details, you will see 2 measures we created a while ago. And you see the function symbol over here. What we need is shipping cost to sales ratio. You see, it's nicely formatted. But what we need to do is click more sort option. From high to low, so that's descending. Be really careful with this. So you want to sort by the measure. Right, so which one is above 3%? It's right here, right? So we just solve this problem, it's paper. Okay, question. Some scammers taking over. Let me just look at a question. Some Magna, I'm not sure, but it was quite bothersome. Well, okay, so it's all about that guy. Okay, let's forget that person. All right, number 6. Find the customer with the lowest overall profit. Customer is who? Well, it's another dimension.
Fortnite balls.
Man. Friday. Okay, so find the customer. So customer is dimension, and profit is most certainly measure. There's another measure, be careful. What is his or her profit to sales ratio? So dimension blue, measure green, right? So, once again, I forgot to bring this back. So let me just reset this first. So we'll need the dimension. You see, dimensions usually go to rows and columns, rows or columns. So let's bring customer, so customer name, right? Bring customer name to rows. And now you need two measures. So what is the first measure is the profit. So let's open the fact table. The first one is profit. What's the second one? The second one is profit to sales ratio. Just go down, you will see profit to sales ratio. So now let's answer a question. Find a customer with the lowest overall profit. So let's look at the profit first. Let's sort the customer name by profit in what? Ascending order. So click more sort option, ascending. Again, really careful. You should always sort dimension by measure. Sort dimension by measure. Okay. So you see the lowest show up at the top. So it is, we're looking for this guy, right? So it's Dean Solomon, and he has the lowest. We're not making any money on this guy. And if you look at the percentage,
This guy is so distracting.
Is 771% negative. I forgot to mention this as a negative. All right, so let me just highlight this. So we solved this problem as well. So I hope you're still with me. There will be more challenges in the whole question. Let's just ignore that. Question number 7. Once again, that's all right. So question number 7, what percent of the total profit do the top 10 customers by sales represent? So this is a little tricky. Let's analyze it. Let's just break it down into dimension and measure first. So profit. Profit, thank you, Shara. So profit is measure. Top 10 customers, customer name is definitely dimension. You see that I'm training you to think in certain way. I hope you walk away remembering. Eric told us dimension measures and dimensions, blue measures green. And you always sort dimension by measures. Okay. And later on, if you're gonna take my free SQL class, next Friday, and I'm going to tell you it's the exact same logic when you do SQL. You always select measures and then group by dimension, and then in the work condition you also put dimension equal to certain value, and that is the same as filtering. And you also have order by, which is what? Which is sorting, right? And you also have limit, which is top or bottom end, right? So after a while, you will realize, oh man, Excel, SQL, and later on Power BI, and all these tools, all these data tools are based on the same logic. So if you have a solid understanding of data structure, and if you just position yourself as a data architect, you will find an Excel, SQL, Power BI, all these tools are actually pretty easy to learn. So today, I think if you forget everything I tell you, I want to ask you to please remember dimension measures. And that is the foundation of data modeling. And any schema, especially relational database, is just a bunch of
You're muted, sir.
Did you? You stupid nigger!
Oh, I don't know who muted me. All right. So let me just repeat what I have just said, and which is pretty important. I have just said all the data tools, Excel, SQL, and Tableau, they follow the same logic. It's always dimension versus measures. So over here, you realize, we.
You stupid nigger! Son of a bitch, I hate me!
All right. That's crazy. So it's always, visualize or tabulate the measures by dimensions. So if you do SQL, remember SQL is select from, where, order by, and limit, right? So it's always selecting the measure. You need to do some aggregation, sum, count, average, and then group by dimensions. And in the where condition, you also put dimension equal to, or maybe in certain values. And that's filtering. And you have order by, that's sorting. And you also have limit, like limit or top 5, top 10. And that is, what I have just done in this Excel example as well. So coming back to question number 7, sales is just another measure. So over here, we're gonna bring customers down. So it's customer name. And then we have what? Sales and profit. So you can find both sales and profit inside order details. And profit. But we're going to treat them a little differently. First, top 10 customers by sale. Again, top 10 customers, it's dimension by measures. What you need to do is click the down arrow and go to value filters in top 10. So top 10 by what? Top 10, you need to click the down arrow again and go to more sort option, because it's top. So you need to select the descending order, and be careful with this. So you sort or you rank dimension by measure. All right. Oh, in fact, I was mistaken. So this one, we actually shouldn't use top 10 because we will need to calculate the cumulative contribution of profit to the total, right? So let me I just got rid of the top end. So now we have all the customer names, but it's sorted in descending order. So for the profit, you just need to click this and go to show value add and click this box. You look for percentage of running, percentage running total in customer name. So you can see this will finish at 100%. Oh, don't do this. You can just control shift down arrows. So over here, you can see it will add up to 100%, but it's cumulative percentage, right? So coming back to the question, top 10 customers by sale. Let me just highlight this. I want you to look at this count, okay? So this is 10, right? I'm going right and click this. In fact, I should just highlight the number 10. I want you to notice this cumulative percentage total is 5.03%. So this is the answer. So hey guys, did you just realize you can use this data model to answer almost any questions, as long as the information required is included in this data model, right? So once again, let's just get rid of all the rows and columns and values. Let's look at question number 8. What are the total sales for items ordered in 2013 with product names containing the word vacuum? Again, let's just highlight them. After a while, I think you will not need this, but from the beginning, I think it's always important for you to highlight the dimensions measures. The sales is a good measure. 2013 is definitely a dimension. Product name, what is it? Dimension. Just so you know, it's actually pretty easy to recognize dimension versus measure. Dimensions, just remember, mark my word, dimensions most of the time are words, and measures most of the time are numbers. But there are exceptions. Remember, dimensions are usually the 5W and 1H. 5W, 1H stands for who, what, where, when, why, and how, right? So who is customer and what is product, and where is location, and when is date. There are exceptions because some dimensions look like numbers. For instance, year look like a number, but you cannot do math with it, right? It's a very special number. And you also have IDs. IDs are essentially dimension. IDs, codes, or keys are dimension. They look like numbers, but you can't do math with them. So they're special numbers, and they're dimensions. So at a very high level, just remember dimensions most of the time are words, and measures most of the time are numbers. And dimensions usually have a limited number of unique values. That's why you can do this. And imagine, you can't do measure with this slicer because it's going to be a long list of unique values, right? So that's also where you filter with. You filter with dimensions, the value of dimension, and you don't do that with the measure column, okay? I think you are slowly getting into, and then you start to understand the difference between dimensions and measure. Okay, the 2 questions left. Oh no, question number 8 we haven't solved. Total sales for items ordered in 2013. So it implies, because 2013 is the value of year, so it implies filtering. You're gonna just click 2013 and product names. So you will bring down product names. It's pretty easy. Go to product and bring down product names. And the measure is sale. So collapse product and go to more details and just bring sales to the values. And how come we have a filter? Is that because the filtering? I don't think so. I think it's because something we did previously. Let me just, oh, there you go. I think we did the top 10. All right. So it asks for the product name that contains the word vacuum. All you need is pick vacuum and then click OK. And then you have the right names, and all these product names contain the vacuum. And this is the total sales. So you can see it's 24,830.50 cents. Right? And question number 9. Once again, let me just bring this back. And remove filtering. Okay. Question number 9. Find the top product subcategory by sales within each ship mode. So whenever you see 2 dimension, but no filtering, chances are you will need a cross tab, right? So in this case, we could put product subcategory in column or in rows and ship mode in column. And then what? Sales in value. So let's just highlight them first. This is a dimension, this is another dimension. And sales is measured. So can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can still hear you.
I didn't mute. You can hear me now, right?
Yes, we can.
Okay. All right. So let's do this. So product subcategory. So another tips is if you have one dimension that has too many unique values, I think it's better to send it to rows because you can go down a lot. But if you put it in column, it's going to become really, really wide. And usually we are used to going down, but you don't want to put a dimension with too many unique values as a column. So over here, you want to put ship mode. So in fact, we don't need to put ship mode over here because we actually need to filter it. Let me just put this as 1 so we can see more. Because it implies, it says the second highest product subcategory for regular air sales. So that's ship mode. So let me do this. We will need to bring down sales first. Okay, so if we click regular air, and we need to sort them. So let's click more sort option and descending order by sales. And it says the second highest product subcategory for regular air sales. So let's highlight the second highest. But it asks you for the ranking if you choose Express. So if I choose Express here, it becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So it's number 5, right? And this is the subcategory. So we just saw this problem is number 5. So the last question is a little tricky. The last question, let's just analyze this. For item shipped in July 2012. This looks like just a regular dimension, but I'll show you why it's tricky. What % of sales were sent in large box. Oh, it's tricky because it's just hit in July 2012. Remember, when we join the table, we connect the dates to order day instead of ship day, right? So we'll need to change the data model. So what you need to do is you go to Power Pivot and click Manage. And then you click the diagram view. And remember this line, it connects dates to order date. What we need to do is click delete. So it deletes this relationship from the model, and then you can bring date to ship date. So this is a new relationship. Let's close this. And we'll need to restore this. So we still need sales. All right, so let's just bring back the product subcategory. Let's get rid of this filtering. What do we need? Percentage. So large box. This sounds like packaging, right? So remember, we do have a product container under in product table. You see, we have a product container, so we can bring this down. So now you see the large box, right? So let's just make sure we want to refresh this. So we want to make sure the newest data model is reflected in this pivot table. So now it's asking for percentage of total, right? So it's pretty easy. Just click value field settings, go to show value add, and percent of column total. There we go. So what is large box? Oh, we still need to do filtering. It's July 2012. July 2012. Large box. All right. So we just finished this. Can you imagine how much time we have taken? Let's do a little reflection over here. This large box is dimension. You see, let's save it first. We started with the flat file. It's a very massive flat file. And in less than 2 hours, we clean up the file and we break it into multiple tables. And we add them into a data model. And we connect the tables, using primary and foreign keys. And then we answer 10 questions. And all these 10 questions, some of them are not easy at all, right? So just picture a typical day that you go to work and a manager and your boss come to your desk asking you a random question. In fact, it will take you a while just to answer any of those questions. But we just tried and then we proved, now if you start this with the right foot, which is, you understand the data, you create a data model, and you use the data model, which is, essentially multiple tables and columns connected together, you will be able to answer any question. And if you need more information, you just need to bring that additional information, columns and tables into this data model. And there is always a way for you to structure data properly. And you can choose to answer questions using pivot table, and later on, you can use charts and graphs. Even fancier, you can create a self-serve dashboard, and you can publish the dashboard to the business team and your managers and senior managers, and they receive the dashboard and they can play with the dashboard, and they will not come to your desk and bother you anymore. But they always remember is the kind of essential professional service you provide to the business team. So in the interest of time, we will not go into the details how to create the dashboard, but I'm going to show you the dashboard. So later on, if you're interested, feel free to book a meeting with me. I'm going to show you how to produce the dashboard. So maybe I will put into the instruction notes how to produce the dashboard. You can try it on your own. But if you feel like you get stuck at some point, you could always book a meeting with me. I'm going to post my contact details and Zoom link and my calendar link in Discord as well. So let me just open the dashboard I finished during the day. All right, so it looks like this. It's not the most beautiful dashboard, but I think it's very, very functional. You could always spend more time to make it more beautiful. For instance, I didn't introduce the timeline, but this is the timeline. Essentially, if you have the pivot table, if you click pivot table analyze, you can just click insert timeline, and the timeline will show up. Okay, so this timeline you can choose to look at any year. Oh, this probably we don't have data. And it's pretty easy to use. And you can make this quarters and give them months and days. So you can drill down, from the highest level to the lowest level in a time and when dimension. And if you select certain year, you notice that we have the cards over here. It shows. Let's just look at 2012. It shows the total sales, and this is the change from the previous month. In fact, this should be previous period. Let me look at a question from Selena. What would be the advantage between answering the questions with a normal pivot table versus doing the data model? Okay, Selena. Usually, I think many people do this. You receive a question, you only think about that question, right? So you will run a SQL query, you will get just enough information, and then you export it to maybe Excel, and then you produce a table of charts, or you could use a pivot table to answer that question, and then that's it. Everything is done one time. But let's say you receive a slightly different question, but you need another column, and then you will have to, repeat this entire process, but every single time you do it manually. Let's talk about how a data analyst will. You started that way, but over time you realize, oh, you get more and more requests from the business team, and because everybody noticed that you are able to answer their question, not like somebody else before you. So you receive all kinds of questions. So before you know it, the list of requests will be all over your head, and you will not be able to handle those what I call ad hoc questions. So it's always better for you to sit back and think, you know what? All these questions, they seem random, but they're not really random. It's always this dimension. It's always, the 5 or 6, maybe 10 KPIs or measures. But if you know you can get this prepared ahead of time. So for instance, you have, I don't know, let's say 5 dimensions and 5 measures. You can retrieve all this information and create a data model ahead of time. I mean, and 80 or 90% of the time, people's questions are always within range, same dimension, same measures. And with a very high level of confidence, you will be able to use this data model to answer their question. So that's a long answer to your question. It's basically the mindset. You want to do it, build it once, and you will be able to answer many different questions later on. And in fact, the same process you build, if you have another month of worth of data, all you need to do is just click refresh, and you will be able to ingest, the new data, and everything, like this dashboard will be refreshing, updated. So this is the beauty of, you could use the data model to answer questions. I think what's even better, and if you can predict all these 5 charts or maybe 6 charts, we'll be able to answer people's questions. It's even better for you to create a dashboard, right? And you publish the dashboard, and people will be able to play with the dashboard. You see, this dashboard is actually pretty easy and straightforward for people to play with. So for instance, and let's say, Selena, you support the 4 regional sales manager, Chris, Erin, Sam, and William, right? So you create a dashboard like this. And of course, if I am Chris, and I will just click Chris, because I only care about my region, which is, I don't know, I don't remember, but you can check. So I'm Chris, I'm responsible for Central. So Chris will look at this same dashboard, but with Chris click. And Sam will look at the same dashboard, but he will just select Sam. You see, it's the same dashboard, but it can't satisfy all 4 regional sales manager. And you can get questions about 2012, or could be 2013. And if people want to compare year over year, they can, right? So over time, it's always you talking to the users of the dashboard, and you try to put yourself in their shoes. You ask them, what kind of questions you want to get answered, and in fact, you have answered some of their questions. You already know, you kind of know, what kind of dashboard you're going to build. But this is also very iterative process, right? So let's say this is the first cut of the dashboard, and you go to each one of them and say, hey, Chris, do you think this will answer most of your questions? You could hear Chris say, you know what, this is fantastic. I don't even know you can use, I don't know, this chart to show me the change, between 2 different points in time. And this is beautiful. I have another request that your dashboard doesn't, answer. And then you will just ask him, what is it? So through this iterative process, you're going to improve the dashboard, and you satisfy and meet their needs over time, right? So over time, the format and the content of dashboard will slowly and gradually crystallize. And it's always the relationships that you as the service provider and they as users, you try to understand each other more, because you have the capability and you just need to know their needs, and then you will get it done, and you will find the best medium to communicate that information. I hope I answer your question. Yes, Selena? Good. So look at this, so anything you click, remember, I haven't bring the other slicers. I can include a bunch of slicers. You're able to control all these different graphs very easily, and now just to put a closure to this presentation, most of the time you want to see, you see the title of the chart that tells you a bit, it's always dimensions by, it's always, you rank order the dimensions by measure, and it's always the top end, you can use columns to compare, and you can use map to show the part to whole relationship. So over time, you will become a very good visual storyteller. So I just want to tell you that this is considered as the first session, our TA will have with you if you start the pre-bootcamp training. And the actual bootcamp, of course, the content will be more complex and it will be more professional quality, industry grade. And this is open data, and it's Microsoft Superstore. It's a very famous data set. But a lot of the pre-camp material and the actual camp material, we use the real data. Of course, we'll mask some of the personal identifying information, so it becomes anonymous. But it's a very heavy-duty, industry grade. Some of the project, the tables will be, the table might have, 7 million rows. At one point we have 12 million rows. So it's huge. So we usually connect Power BI to Azure or maybe SQL Server. So we'll talk about that pipeline. And this is just to give you a sense. There is a different way to go about doing data analysis, and there is a different way to go about communicating insight to the business. And because of the change of the technology, it becomes a lot easier today for us to work with multiple pieces of technology. But through today's lesson, I really want you to realize that at the core of data analysis and business intelligence is the database design. So SQL is extremely important. And some people say, you don't need to learn SQL. You just learn Tableau or Power BI. The visualization tool is drag and drop. It's very easy. Let me tell you, it looks easy to start, but if you really want to become an advanced user, you will realize SQL is actually behind it, right? But one is doing the same thing through code, and the other one is through visual. So you can consider Power BI visual programming. So Christina, would you say everything we covered today is beginner? Today, and it's actually beginner. It's a different kind of beginner. So to some, this might be something unfamiliar, but you realize if you just follow my instruction, it's actually pretty easy for you to start. What's important is for you to form a habit of doing things certain way. So for instance, remember I told you I was a little OCD, but I think those sometimes are really good habits, because if you are disciplined, if you do things in a clean and tidy way, it looks pretty and looks professional. And oftentimes, if the employer gave the same task to 10 candidates, the one who win the job is the one not only solve the problem, but the presentation is just so nice and professional, right? So these are the things I want you to learn. So to answer your question, this is beginner. We designed learning paths, we designed the learning curve, so we can make it feel like, gradual. So it's not steep at all. So you feel like, every single time you learn something new, it's hard enough, but with help, you can actually get going. You will not feel too frustrated. But at the same time, once you overcome the hurdle, you will feel super satisfied. Okay, so we have 6 minutes. Yeah, we'll upload the recording, so you can try to. I think the best way to learn is to copy first, is to copy my work, just to repeat the same process and make sure you internalize it. But once you get the hang of it, and if you receive another project, you follow the same procedure. Remember, you will just need to create range, load the range into the data model, and then connect the tables. Now you build the pivot table, and then you use the slicers and timeline, and then you put them together, and you create charts, and then you build a dashboard, right? I see some familiar names. So we still have 18 people left, so I wish you good luck. I think in today's market, it's tough, but I still see. Let me just show you something. We'll talk more next Friday and the Friday after next Friday, but I want to show you something. This is the Indeed query I always use, just to see how many jobs we have a day. Did you notice that this is a more advanced query? So you see, most importantly, within last 24 hours. So all these 187 jobs were fresh new jobs that got posted in the last 24 hours. And wait a minute, this is all remote. Okay, no. So within 100 kilometers of Toronto, or if you change this, you will get more. But look, senior Power BI specialist. So the Power BI is getting more and more popular. So 2 weeks from now, we will talk about Power BI, and I will showcase. I just love Power BI. I like Excel, but there are things that you simply can't get done within Excel. But Power BI is just so much more transparent, and everything is automatic. Now look, CIBC Business Analytics, Retail Risk Management, Scotiabank. Oh, this is probably my old team. Look, IBM, OMERS, even senior leadership role, business analyst. I want to tell you that a lot of time, it look like different roles, business analyst, but if you look at the job description, BA, DA, and BI are essentially the same role, and it's just asking for a wider range of skills. Data scientist, senior business analyst with fixed income. So man, I used to see 600, 800 jobs that got posted in the last 24 hours. Now it's getting down to 200 and 150, but I still remain, optimistic. So today is about digital transformation. What is digital anyway? It's just data and code, data and software, and data in the data space. You're the kind of talent that employer wants, because you can get more done with less. So nowadays, you hear the bad news. The big companies, the big tech firms are letting people go, but you know what? They're also hiring people, and all companies are firing and hiring people at the same time. So now firing people with traditional outdated skill sets, but they're hiring people who can do more with less. So data, if you know how to leverage, data, and you can help business answer questions, solve problems. You can create a value to the business and the customers. So that's the reason why you don't need to worry about it. It doesn't matter if the economy is going up or down. You only need one job. I think, here you go. If you see 187 jobs in a day, you simply only need to apply for 10 jobs a day, every day, and you will get called. And we will make sure you go to the interview prepared, and you will get that dream job that you have always wanted to do. All right, so it's 1 minute left. I hope you enjoyed the session, and let's remain connected. I hope to see and to meet some of you, and it's always my pleasure. It's always my passion to see you inspired and to see you, become more confident in this amazing career path. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.